Hi everyone, welcome back to my little corner of the occult universe. My name is Staffan Karl, and this is the very beginning of the course that I've decided to initiate about the 52 cards, cards of truth cards, or rather about the spreads. Well, it's the beginning for me. I mean, Ernst did a part of it a few years ago, but he couldn't continue, and so he reached Jack of Spades. That's covered from Ace to Jack of Spades. It's covered on cardsoftruth.com. Maybe one day, if I come to the finish line in this course, I'm gonna cover these cards too, but that would be in the end in that case. So I pick up where he left off. So today we're gonna start with Queen of Spades. I was about to say it's a very interesting card, but you can't. There is no card that you're not going to find interesting. They are. It's each card is a rabbit hole, really. But Queen of Spades is one of the very special cards in the sense that there are so few of them. Few of Queen of Spades people, since Queen of Spades energy rules only one day a year. So from around sunrise of January, hard word for me to pronounce. January 2nd to sunrise of that same month, January 3rd. Just one day, just 24 hours. So only about 1 of 365 person is going to be a Queen of Spades person, just like King of Spades and Ace of Hearts. Those are the three cards that rule only one day each. And then of course, January 31st, which is a special day too, for other reasons. Well, let's focus on Queen of Spades right now. I hope I will be able to say Queen of Spades and not slid into saying King of Spades, because I'm so used to say King of Spades, because I'm married to a King of Spades, and also I have two. I'm a King of Spades magnet. Their Jupiter card is my birth card. So I have 2 kids with one King of Spades woman, and I'm married to another one. They rule just one day at a year. So that will be interesting. I know a lot about them. I'm just saying, if I stumble and say King of Spades, well, forgive me. I'll try to keep my focus on the right word here. Queen of Spades. I actually have quite some experience of this card too, and I had an uncle who was a Queen of Spades. And also last year I got to know a woman who's Queen of Spades, and I read her spread and I learned quite a lot about her experience. So I have some references, some experience. I tried to find a public figure to use as an example, and there aren't many. And I think it has to do with King of Spades being such a dabbler, you know. It's a very playful card, and they dabble around a lot, but they have a hard time, or they just don't want to specialize themselves and like focus on one thing. And I guess that's one reason why you don't see many famous King of Spades. The only name that really stood out and is commonly known by most people would be Isaac Asimov, the Russian and later American, I think, science fiction writer. He seems to have been a Queen of Spades, but I don't know him well, and since I have a very well known and quite interesting example from my own family, I want to tell about my uncle a little, because he was a very interesting person, and I think his life illustrates Queen of Spades really well. Anyway, before getting into the concrete reading, let's make just a superficial check or just a sketch, superficial portrait of what Queen of Spades is about. It's about being it's a very self-reliant card, maybe the most self-reliant card. It can only compete. The only card that could compete with Queen of Spades in that sense, I guess, would be Six of Spades. Well, it depends what you mean with self-reliance, really. But this is a mature card who really tends to have its shit together, right? And it does not want to be bothered by the world. It doesn't want drama. And it has a lot of... It's fun because it's dual. It has a lot of jack energy. So it's also a very fun and playful card. So there is a strong duality. When you listen, if you see it like an adult card, good at taking care of itself and keeping its stuff together and shit together, that may even sound boring, right? But this is a very, very playful, very curious, funny card. Can be very creative. So, and it has an incredible skill level. So it's almost funny. It's almost strange. Okay, it's a rare card. It only rules one day a year. So that might be one reason, of course, that we don't know many famous Queen of Spades. But also I think there is a privacy to this card that they don't need... They are not interested in shining in the world so much, and moreover, it has a deep-rooted interest in being left alone or it doesn't want to be disturbed. So I would guess that many Queen of Spades reject fame because it doesn't serve their purpose. It's not what they need. It's not what they want. Anyway. I mean, generally I wouldn't start with an underlying card, but now I just felt it's the right place to start reading this card. So it comes from 10 of diamond. That's the root. That's where it's the soil that this experience, Queen of Spades experience, is rooted in, that it grows from. And 10 of diamond is a very skillful person. I mean, 10 of clubs is a person that hustle a lot. And 10 of diamond is a person who finds a lot of... I mean, it just works for them. They are skillful. It's being skillful and in so many fields. 10 of diamond can be very... let's say spiritual. It may understand energy and intuition and so on, but also in a worldly sense, like dealing with 10 of diamonds is the lucky wheel, and it's about value. It's about things that works. So that is what Queen of Spades come from. Queen of Spades has a very easy time to produce high quality whatever. I'm gonna mention my uncle Carl Olof. He was such a talented man. When he was young, he traveled around visiting in summer fairs, like in the countryside, and he worked as a drawer. So his special skill was to ask people. He saw them in profile, and then he would capture the line, the line of the profile, and he would make money out of that. That was his way during his study time. That was how he made his money. And then he was a very highly skilled mouth organ player, played at a very high level with a very special technique that he was very proud of. And he built a house, and he was a generally very skillful person. And that's, I mention it not to brag about my family or about my uncle, but because as an illustration of how they are, these people. And they're going towards another diamond, which is 8 of diamonds. And 8 of diamonds is the capacity to, it's where we develop our capacity to make things manifest in life, like make the universe, what's the word for that? Present a golden egg. What does a hen do? I don't know the word for it. Not right now, at least. To manifest a golden egg, depending on our inner state. That's 8 of diamonds. All 8 are mirrors. And here this is the clearest mirror maybe about the outer world and the inner world. So that's where they are going towards, right? As I said in the introduction video, every card is a vector. It has a tendency. So it comes from being skillful. That's the root. The present energy, the Queen of Spades itself, it's about mastering yourself. Really, being on top of yourself. And out of that experience, they discover the capacity they get deeper into the capacity of creating your own luck, manifesting, right? But Queen of Spades is still like the state before the magician state of 8 of it, like they are still focused on themselves in this lifetime, right? On being on top of yourself. And the experience of manifestation is something that typically presents itself more later in life. Or maybe it's what they're going to experience in next lifetime, right? Who knows? Maybe we are being born in this chain. So after a Queen of Spades experience, you're going to have a 8 of Diamonds experience. Who knows? Anyway, that's speculation. So Spades is the first suit, right? Not sweet. Suit. Struggling with him with the English. Please have bearing with me. So the spades represents a tree. It's the individual. It's our capacity for dealing with life, like itself, like survival, right? And it has a lot to do with bodily survival, but also to a degree our identity, right? It's a sturdy card. It's all spades have sturdiness to them, right? Like grit. Good survivors. The numeration, Queen. Well, it's a number 12. Of course, the Queen is the 12th card. So that tells us that we should have put a little extra, what's the word for it? Focus on the 12th card in the spread, the Neptune card, and that happens to be 6 of spades. 6 of spades is the most grown up, the most independent, the strongest, the healthiest tree in the jungle, in the forest. And the position, Neptune, we are going to come back to this, but just briefly, the Neptune position is like a longing. It's where we feel the most realized, the most in touch with life or with divinity, right? It's how we would wish that life would present itself to us and vice versa, right? And it's like a longing. It's something that Ernst compares it to a pregnancy, something that we carries within and wants to manifest throughout life, right? So this tells us that not only does Queen of Spades want to be independent, healthy, strong, it also wants to be in that energy. Like it wants life to be. It's a meeting, right? It's a meeting point. So that tells us that it's a no drama card, and that's, I think, is one of the most important things to Queen of Spades, to avoid drama. I told you last year I got to know a Queen of Spades woman, and she grew up in a family with 2 women, her grandmother and her mother, and at an early age she outgrew them and moved away, quite far away, to another province. This was in Peru. She lived in Cusco, and her family lived in Lima. And she went home visiting them once or twice a year, if I remember well. But the thing is that she, at an early age, realized that she didn't want to be involved in the codependence, in the drama of the family. And that, I think, is a key. That's key to understand King of Spades. They want a drama-free life. They want to have fun. They want to play around, but they don't want to be involved, especially in drama and codependence. It's a very no codependent card. And when they are, involved in longer relationships, well, we're going to come back to that. But it's hard for them, because they don't want to deal with that, right? They want a drama-free life. Queens is a personification of 4, 5, and 6 together. So this is a 4, 5, and 6 of spades, and it's strongest in 5. So that's another indication. We could look at the 5th card. This is the 5th card, the strong connection, right? And we're gonna do that later. And spades, 5 of spades is about adaptation. The corresponding tarot card is judgment. So 5 of spades has this very good sense of avoiding danger, like feeling like a judge a situation. Is this going to be a threat? Do I have to adapt? Tom Cruise is a 5 of spades, and he has a lot to do about that, right? What happens to my English here? Suddenly collapsed. So they have a good sense of they can spot danger, and they have an incredible capacity for adaptation. It's also a 4. 4 is the perceptor. They have a good criteria, good like a stable basis, and they also the queens also vibrates in 6s, which is the strongest, the healthiest, the best card. So this is the best card in a way, you could say, because it's so good to take care of itself. It's extremely good at taking care of itself and being at top of itself. I would say there is no other card who has the same capacity to being on top of itself. Only maybe 6 of spades. Maybe it's a draw between them. Well, what more? Sixes are the tarot card is the lover. The lovers, and that speaks about earthly connection, right? It's an earthly it knows what it wants, what to connect to. Well, spades is not about connectiveness really, but it knows what makes it happy. 4, as I said, is the preceptor. That is good criteria for, stable personality, stable. Well, that's a 4 too, right? Stable personality. 4 of spades is a stable personality. 5 is an adaptive personality. 6 is about as good as it gets, the most independent, etc. What more? We spoke about the planet. Correspondent planet is Neptune, the 12th planet. So I don't know, maybe that means that there is like a longing, they have a longing about them. So Neptune is such a longing card, right? I would say all queens are longing, it's a longing energy. So I think that was it, speaking about the birth card. So this is like the maestro, the director, right, standing in front of his orchestra, or it's the title page of the book. So now we know what this is about. And now we're going to read the book itself, or listening to the work that the director chooses to play, and how, in what rhythm, and what tempo, and so on he chooses to play it. And it's going to be interesting. So the first card, if we read just the regular order from 1 to 13, that is the Sun card, of course. It's a Jack of Clubs. So one thing I want to point out here, there are no hearts whatsoever in the first 6 positions. And then there is a heart in the Saturn card saying that it's a, what do you say, denying of heart, right? Saturn is denying us something. So the first, you see no underlying heart, no overlying heart, and no underlying heart in all this line, until we reach this negative heart card telling us that, don't bother about emotional stability. And the first real heart card, and here is another, it's a tough heart card. So the only good heart card out of 14, even counting the underlying cards, is 8 of Hearts. And that's on the ecliptic. And 8 of Hearts is all about loving yourself. So that should tell us almost everything we need to know about how independent they are. The only positive heart in the whole spread is an 8 of Hearts. 8 of Hearts, and that's not a social heart card. That's it doesn't connect them or connect us to the outer world, but rather to ourselves. So emotionally, it's an extremely independent card. But Jack of Clubs on the Sun card has, we can read it. It's an personification of Ace, 2 and 3 of Clubs, and Jacks are especially strong in Ace, right? And the experience Ace of Clubs that is expressed here, the underlying card is 2 of Hearts. So there we have a strong, even though it's not visible here energy wise, there is a strong heart connection in the Sun card, because it derives from the connection of connecting emotionally to something. So even though we don't see it, this connection through Jack of Clubs, that creates a connection, an emotional connection. And what is the result? It's an extremely curious card. Very eager, very fond of connecting to people and connecting to situations and connecting to anything that I like, music or nature or whatever it might be. So there is connectiveness, but it's disguised as a Jack, and therefore we don't see that actually there is a two of Hearts behind this energy, behind this card. So when you speak about being so independent and so emotionally independent, one would perhaps expect a hermit, and it's far from a hermit card. My uncle, for example, he was a teacher, He taught kids between, I think, 9, I don't know what you call the level in English, between 9 and 12, 13 years old, and he was working his whole life as a teacher, and he was very active and very. I'm gonna show you something that speaks about him and about this energy, I think. Let's see. No, that's not what I wanted to show. Let's see here. No. Okay. Where did it go? I will have to. Hopefully I can find it here. Nope. Okay. I will need to take a pause. I'm gonna look up something here. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to show. I hope you can see it. This is my uncle and these are my kids. My daughter, when she was 8 years old, almost 9, we were visiting Karl Olof, and she found his hand dolls, and he was playing with the kids. He was almost 80, and then she drew this portrait of my uncle and her little brother and herself. So that's how my daughter perceived my Queen of Spades uncle. Very playful, very connective, as you can see. So I thought that was cool. Now let's go back here to Kala. There it is. Yeah. This is the student card. Jack of clubs. They love to learn new stuff and be involved in the world. Very curious, very young energy, right? Next card, 9 of diamonds. It's the most connected cards in terms of spirituality, I'd say. It's an intuitive card. The position, the moon position, is something that we just attract naturally. It comes to us. We don't have to struggle to have it. It's a natural part of us. If it's obstructed, has an obstruction, well, then it's a little harder. My uncle had his Rahu there, but generally speaking, it's something that flows naturally through us, and it indicates a high level of intuition. So again, Queen of Spades is a survival card. They have an easy time to spot, indicated already by 5 of Spades, which is hiding here within the Queen of Spades. It spots danger, right? But this is yet another indication for that. Ernst has told us a lot about this card, how his father was a 9 of diamonds, and how he could, these people, if you have it well developed and so on, they can basically predict something out of just by reading the telephone book or something, right? So there might be psychic ability and a high knack for reading energy, reading abstract things, like a feeling, intuition. The next position, 7 of Spades, once again making them extremely good at avoiding or dealing with hardships. 7 of Spades indicate hardships, like the really tough kind of, like, being stabbed or amputation or drug addiction, that kind of hardships. And the position, Mars position, is where we fly away from that experience. So Queen of Spades is supposed to have tough experiences. It's like in school. This is like the gym card or the school card, the training card, right? So they are supposed to have 7 of Spades in their lives. They are supposed to deal with hardships. But as soon as the problem is resolved, it just leaves them and becomes obsolete, becomes irrelevant. a little like a woman giving birth, right? In pain, most of the times. But as soon as the baby is delivered, the pain is going away, and a while afterwards, most women tell they don't even remember much of it. So I would say that a Queen of Spades person normally goes through more hardships than maybe they account for, because it's just as soon as this problem is solved, it just goes away, becomes irrelevant. So that's a very nice card for them too. And then we have the Mercury card, which is like a fulcrum point in the middle of the spread, balancing everything. Here we works out the strategy. This is how we play the game of life, as Ernst Wilhelm often says. And in this case, it's 2 of clubs, meaning that they go for the manual, they read the manual, and they have an easy time finding the manual, right? Clubs is the 3rd spread. So it doesn't manifest like really concretely until 3. In 3 we become independent thinkers, right? We have the experience of learning something, and then our brain kicks in and we start to expand in knowledge, philosophy, understanding, and so on. 2 of clubs precedes that. It's the step before. So this is where we find the instruction, and that's a rather wonderful moment too, right? When you've been to IKEA and the furniture come home and you've maybe let's say the instruction is lost. When you find the instruction, that's like the beginning of the project, right? Like when I was to learn the cards of truth, and I saw Ernst Wilhelm, and I realized that this is the man who's going to teach me. This is the system I'm going to learn. So that's the strategy. They find a good teacher, and they would find it effortlessly. They would find a good book. They would read the instruction, read the manual. And not that they are not creative in themselves and can't create new stuff, because they can, because jacks are really creative. But they're good students. I mean, this is the student. The attitude of being a student, wanting to learn, being curious. This is a student in the meaning that I connect to something. I really study, right? So they're going to learn a lot of stuff, and they are willing to learn, and they are also creative, because jacks are creative. So a wonderful combination of picking up knowledge from other people and also develop it. I remember my uncle, who was a wonderful mouth organ player. He had learned his technique from an old man. It was in Swedish, from Swedish folklore, like from back in 19th century. And yeah, he listened, and also he had a project going for many years. He was documenting old houses when the countryside where he lived was much more populated, and people lived in the what is now forest, and they left a ruin behind. Maybe they lived there for 50 years and then it was gone, and he made a documentation of that. So they are, I mean, that's an illustration too, how they are into the established facts, and they can be very social, and they can be very into the established academia and so on. Actually, I wanna show something. Speaking about their creativity and so on. I'm gonna turn on the camera here. I have this. Let's see. I have to turn off this. So here I am. This book was written. It's a little Karl Olof. That's my uncle's name. This is a book of my family that he wrote. for his kids. He didn't give any to me and but to his kids, to his children. Already from 1955 or so, he started to visiting his old parents with a recorder and started to record them, and then he made a book out of their lives. And I happen to have one of these. So very creative, very active people. Next card is the Jupiter position, something that is avoided. Normally in this position it's something that we feel that we have a lot of, but we don't. So if it's a good thing, if it's like money and so on, we think that it should be easy for us to generate money. But when it's time for us to grab that thing, it's like a hologram, right? Our hands can't grip it, or it just slides away. And if it's a bad thing, well, it seems ominous and it seems threatening, but it's not. It's fake. It's a hologram of a danger, right? So King of Clubs is an expert, and to me it indicates that Queen of Spades don't want to be an expert. They don't want to, or they can't become an expert because they are too much all over the place, right? And they don't want to make the sacrifice because they're too much into their ecliptic card, loving themselves, feeling good about themselves, right? So they don't want to do the sacrifice to becoming an expert in something. They don't want to, in a way they don't want to become an adult. They want to play. They have this playful jack of these two jacks, which are very young energies, playful energies, and they just want to be so responsible, and so they are extremely responsible when it comes to themselves, but they don't want to take on responsibility for the world. So you can see how this woman I mentioned from Peru, she moved away from her mother and her grandmother because she did not want to get involved, right? And this book that I showed, he made like 5 copies for his kids, and no one to. He had like 10 more nieces and nephews, and we didn't get one, right? And I see that as an example of how Jupiter, King of Clubs in Jupiter, works, that he doesn't want to take responsibility. I don't have to. I mean, it would have been so easy, at least we could pay for it even, right? But it didn't occur to him that the story of our grandparents would be equally interesting for us as for our his kids, right? So although he was a respected man in society and he was a teacher and so on, they don't like to take on big tasks. I mean, tasks that means that they have to sacrifice themselves. Okay? They don't want to become a king because a king is a servant. And also there could be an ego problem there, that they want to shine as a king, and rather than serve the people. But the most important part is that they are not ready to sacrifice themselves to serve. So they can be a little egoistic, mostly healthily egoistic. We have far too much codependence in this world, but well, it's up for discussion. Then we have the Venus position, which is another, where we see another diamonds. So the Venus position is about it's like an oasis in a tough life, right? It's a place where we can get something that actually soothes us and nurture us and so on. And it's also a place where it gives a hint of what they expect from a partner and a relationship. And here we can see that they want the flirty part. They like to flirt. They like to play. They can be playgirls, I guess. They want high quality. Diamonds is quality, so they are almost certainly going for the highest ranked, the cutest girl, the strongest boy, the most skillful in something. They want to be seen with a high level partner, and they want to have fun. Girls just want to have fun, according to I know that song. I have it on my tongue. Yeah, that's the one. But King of Spades just want to have fun. They just want to have fun. Cyndi Lauper, right? They want to play. They want to cheat a little. They want to test, try what do we call it? Test the borders, right? The limits of how far is it? How are they allowed to go by society or by spiritual laws and so on? It's a mischievous card who likes to play and even play with divinity, like challenge divinity. So it's a very flirtatious and they like the seduction and so on, that part of the relationships. And they have problems with long-term relationships. We're going to see that later in Neptune card, right? They like more into the playful first part of a relationship. And again, they don't love to make big sacrifices, really. So these two cards are working together, of course. Also, the Mercury card is working together with the Sun card, telling us that the Sun card is very prominent. Why? Because Jack of Spades is a 1, 2, and 3 of, not spades, clubs. So this is a 2 of clubs in disguise, to some degree. I forgot to mention that when I was speaking about the Mercury card, how these two cards work together, as do these two. Well, and then I'm gonna take a jump to the ecliptic card, because I read normally, or in most cases, I read a spread like this. Like this is an academy for a space traveler, for an astronaut. So the 6 first cards is like the school, the academy, where they learn you to become an astronaut, and then the evolutionary path starts in Saturn, goes through Rahu, and the end point is Ketu. So this is like our earthly dharma, who we are, how we work here on Earth, and this is our task in life. What we're supposed to do, life lesson, right? From Saturn to Ketu. So everything that is evolutionary, astrology and so on in this system, we see it especially in these 3 cards. And I'm gonna save that to the end, I think, because it's a little separate, and it's mostly about the Rahu card. Ernst says that Rahu is the reason that we exist on Earth at all. It's something that we are not familiar with and that we have to learn. So thanks to Rahu, we have this body and this existence. And therefore I think it's logical to leave it to the end of the reading. That's like the essence of, not of who we are, but why we are, right? What is the task that we're here to work out? So let's skip the Saturn, Rahu and Ketu position for now and go to the ecliptic card, which is again self-love, self-nourishment, not being dependent on other people, not needing any other people. So they are going to encounter this in their life over and over and over again, like all the roads lead to Rome. Well, for a King of Spades, all the roads go back to self-love, basically. And that's of course something that you have to develop. It's the task to develop the self-love. And 8s are always going to be stuck, so there will be stuckness in the lives, right? In the life of a Queen of Spades, they are going to feel very stuck at moments, and and have to learn to indulge themselves in self-love. Again, it doesn't make them an antisocial card or an hermit card in any way. They can be very outgoing and very social, but they don't need much. It's more difficult for them in close relationships, long-lasting relationships, because they don't need a partner that much. We're going to come back to that. Well, in a way, it's what we're going to speak. Yeah. We're going to speak about the outer cards: Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And, well, let's take them in order. First, 6 of clubs. Again, skillfulness in a position that is all about uniqueness. It's a young energy. It's something that can never be altered. When the word goes against us in this sense, our parents question this part of us, we become rebellious. And that's why Uranus has this name of being labeled rebellious, right? Uranus is the rebel. Yes, he becomes a rebel when he's being questioned, right? In this case, it's someone who is, and then it's our nucleus in a way. It's our essence, really, our innermost part, maybe the inner child. I think it's fair to say that it's a portrait of our inner child. So 6 of clubs is a very skillful person. 6 is the best number in worldly matters, the highest number, and because in 7, 8, 9th we are moving into next level, like beyond worldly matters. So it's as skillful as you can be on earth. And there you see the talent of my uncle, being a professional drawer. That's a piece of furniture, right? Someone who can draw, make a caricature, is that so? And making a living out of it. Someone who produced his own clothes. His grandfather, my great grandfather, was a tailor, so he had no problem, like out of his gender role or something, to knit and fabricate his own clothes. He was very good at that too, and the mouth organ and so on. So again, they have so many things going for them. They are skillful and they work on a high level. Really talented people. And then in the next card, the Neptune card, we mentioned it earlier, there is the twin card of 6 of clubs. So they are also they have this longing for, they want to be very healthy, very independent, very secure in themselves. And they want the world to be the same way towards them, right? Like, leave me alone kind of attitude. Because a big tree doesn't need the word, much from the word, right? And I have to tell this story about my uncle. I hope it doesn't get tiresome, but I think it's quite telling and quite interesting. My grandfather, my uncle was born 1928, and the Second World War became, it started in 39 when he was 11, and then a year later or so my grandfather went away. He was a reserve officer, and he had to go to the coast and look out for Nazis and Russians and what do I know. So he was away for 2 years, and Ernst, when he went away, Ernst Karl Olof, my uncle, I don't know where Ernst came into the picture, my uncle had to take over his role as a mailman, in the countryside. So he was 14, and he drove the car. Already in 42 or around there, they had a car because he was a mailman, and but they didn't have any gasoline, so they used wood gas. Have you seen those aggregates? Wood gas aggregates. So every morning, and it was the coldest winter ever, like below 30 for weeks, 30 degrees Celsius for weeks, and every morning this little kid, 14 years old, had to, with the help of a some years older sister, with the help and the horse, start the engine of the pull the cars so that the engine would start, and then he would deliver the mail, and once a week, once a month, there would be, the pensionists would have their money, and I don't know how many, but maybe 50 or 100 or more people would have their pensions, and this kid who was 14 years old, King of Spades, was in charge. He delivered the mail, all that money. In our value, maybe $100,000 or more in one day, right? In our the money of equivalent of American money and money of our time. So I think even for that time, and even for wartime, that was an extreme experience of independency, right? And having to grow up early, quick. I'm going to show you the overlying that too, but the year spread, and I just want to show the year spread of King of Spades, the Queen of Spades, for the moon. Look at the moon card. When they are 7 years old, 9 years old, let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 13. They have Jack of Spades, 9 of Spades, 5 of Spades, very tough spades on the moon card, which is something that we attract, right? So those are hard years for them. When they are 14, like my uncle, King of Diamonds. So that's sacrifice for a value, right? Well, he was dealing with what I just told you that year. So they are being really tested during their late infancy. Between 7 and 15 and so on, and but they are built for endure. So they're not going to be traumatized by it. They're gonna become very independent people. Okay. And then we have the Pluto card. And here we come back to the theme of relationships, because having a Queen of Hearts on the Pluto card, Queen is long term, right? It's going to be a strong card, a card that vibrates strongly in their spread, since they are a queen. Every card that equivalent to the birth card is going to vibrate strongly. And what does Pluto does? It denies you that thing, or it basically, it's a card that it's there to fuck with us, we're being fucked up in that experience. And so long-term relationships is very hard for them. And I'm gonna mention again my uncle. He had a lifelong relationship with his wife, dear Lucia. They had 4 kids together, and it was very hard for them. I think he loved his wife, really. I think it was a lot of love going on. But I believe he really felt stuck being in a relationship, because they do. Queen of Spades wants the playful part of it. They want to have fun, and I suspect that Lucia wasn't fun enough. She was probably a little too dependent on him, a little too clingy. That doesn't work with Queen of Spades. They don't accept clinginess. So they endured, but I know that when they were approaching their 80s, they were speaking about divorce, because it was a constant nagging, a constant. Very sad, because I really think there was a lot of love at the bottom of it. Now, I don't know her chart, right? So I can only tell it from one side. But they have a natural tendency to avoid or to being uncomfortable in long relationships. They don't want to make sacrifice. They want to be alone, have a drama-free life. They're good with being good with themselves. And not having to deal with drama, not having to sacrifice themselves, and not having to deal with long-term relationships, basically. Although oftentimes they do get married, of course, but as I said, for my uncle, perhaps it didn't turn out that well. The girl I have mentioned from Peru, well, she's a single too. Anyway, she's a single. And maybe that's the best for her, really. So now I've saved the best part, maybe for the end, and that's the evolutionary path. So when we have finished our learning period in astronaut school, Saturn comes in and says that okay, it's time to be launched into space. Meaning that now we are going to have an experience that is going to teach us about what's behind the concrete world, right? We're getting into the spiritual realm. We are allowed to see some of the hidden texture behind everything, right? So it starts with giving up something. Saturn takes a toll. It tells us to give up our locker, basically, and something more. You don't need that thing anymore. In this case, four of clubs, hearts. Well, emotional stability. As easy as that. It may be a home. You don't need a home, or you don't need emotional stability. You don't be clingy. Don't cling to emotional stability. Of course, you can have a home. Of course you can have emotional stability. Basically, you don't need it because you have it, right? You don't need the outer expression of emotional stability. So they are not allowed to cling emotionally. They must let go of things they are attached to, right? And then next step is Rahu, the number 8. Number 8 is a mirror. Speaking in terms of space travel, this is where we dock. We have been launched. We are approaching the space station, which would be K2, like our personal version of paradise, a world where things actually works the way we want to. And here we are approaching, and we have to dock to the space station. So this is a point of this. We are finding equilibrium, really. This is a fulcrum point. This is where we find equilibrium in a more mundane sense, like how we deal with life as we know it. But this is where we find equilibrium it's a meeting point between ourselves and the inner world and the outer world. So everything that we develops in the Rahu card is going to manifest itself in the outer world. So by becoming our own best friend, we learn to befriend the world. And when that relationship is established, well, that's docking to the universal experience of the 9th card. So you have now become your own best friend. And thus, at the same moment, because it's a mirror, you discover that you have now also become the best friend of the world. That prepares you for to take a step into, well, the divine realm, the realm of high spirituality. So Rahu card, it's really the most important card in many ways, and everything is built around it for us to make the Rahu card work. And in this case, it's 4 of diamonds. So it's about stop chasing material security, as simple as that. To stop worrying about the paycheck, to stop worrying whether this business idea is going to render me money or not, and trust that I have the stability, the material stability within. I'm going to be material stability. I'm going to manifest. I'm going to embody material stability. They have to learn to embody material stability. They are not into wealth. They don't need wealth. They have a wonderful 9 of diamonds that is related to the highest vibration, right? And they have this wonderful capacity for creating stuff. They can be creative. They're good students. They are creative. They have good skills doing stuff. They can handle themselves. They have a wonderful nose for talent, for high quality, producing high quality in their lives. Why would they need wealth? It's not interesting for them, right? They can make their own, like my uncle did. He writes his own books. He produced his own clothes even, right? But of course they want economic stability, material stability. And Rahu card is teaching them, when you become stable, materially stable within yourself, well, then it's going to manifest. So it's very similar to their experience of the overlying card. This is where they learn to, if they feel secure, they're going to produce security. Just like that. But it's a tough lesson. Rahu card is always difficult. So it's not only a talent that we have. It's an indication of something that will be difficult at least up to a certain age, like 42, 45. This experience is going to haunt them. They are going to be worried about money and stuff until they learn to master this card, which is going to happen between 42 and 45 as the earliest, and for obviously for many people it never happens. So that's the challenge, the big challenge of their life. And if they do that really well, they are welcome to get to know the secret that life is hiding for them, like the prize. And it's about 2 of spades, not having big needs, be very, very little needy. A highly developed Queen of Spades, they don't need anything, This is the card whose nature image is an acorn or a seed who has started to sprout. It's sprouting and has its little root who is sucking nutrients and water from the soil, but it also carries with them what we call them, nutrients. The seed itself still has nutrients. So it doesn't need much from the world. And that's the price for them. That's where they arrive if they do the revolutionary journey, realizing that they need so very little from the world. And they can thrive in a very hostile environment. And being very happy with that. So, I think that's all that I had to say about Queen of Spades. For now, I will be back, hopefully soon, with a reading, a deeper reading, because we're going to study the overlying card, which is going to confirm what has already been told, but also going to teach us a lot about, well, how the energy flows in this spread. So, and after that, I will have a look at the year cards, year spreads too, right? To see what ages and so on, what the tendencies we can pick up from the year spreads. So my plan is to make 3 videos on each card. So welcome back.